And we've got a question here on Twitter of what you would do if you were Stefano Domenicali.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do to change the rules in F1 to make it more competitive? That's the question.
Well, I'd first and foremost, I'd have to stop the FIA being the rules makers. And that's the trouble the commercial rights holder has, is that they don't make the rules. They can have an influence because they have a standing on the F1 Commission, but they don't make the rules. The FIA do. And I think the time has come, I think, in F1 to actually bring the two parties a lot more closely aligned. And they are a lot more closely aligned. And these regulation changes, I think, have been driven by F1 rather than the FIA. But I think we need to think about the show and the spectacle, and marketing sometimes needs to be a bit more important than engineering, but we need to also keep that balance in engineering as well. And I think we're getting there with a sprint. But I would personally, I think we're at the limit for the amount of races. I don't think we need any more races, and sometimes less is more in that one. We'll do 24 next year, and then we'll revisit it again. And maybe 24 might be a bit too much, because to actually ask people to invest so much time in the sport for 24 races as fans is asking a huge amount. But I understand why it's happening. I think the sprint concept is good. I like it, but I don't like it being part of the World Championship. I'd like two separate World Championships, like cricket has T20. One day and the test match, and we'll keep them separate. And have your sprint day on a Friday, maybe, rather than the Saturday. And have you could go into sprint qualifying and then the sprint with maybe a 20-minute warm-up in the morning. That's your Friday. And then the cars are not in Parc Fermé.
Yes.
For the rest of the weekend.
Yeah.
Because you then have your practice session on the Saturday morning, Saturday qualifying, race on Sunday. So you're keeping the two very separate for different World Championships. And if all the drivers don't want to run in the Sprint World Championships, fine. There's enough reserve drivers that do.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good way of getting the reserve drivers involved in that. So commercially, that's kind of what I'd look at. But I think a simplification of the rules, because they're getting a bit too complicated. And we need to find a way to simplify it, and just put the show first. Occasionally, ban blue flags, because if you're good enough to be leading a race, you're good enough to pass another driver who's not leading the race because they're last, without them having to jump out the way. It might make things a lot more interesting as well. And you could do that without any investment in the sport, without any engineering challenges whatsoever. That's a master stroke, a stroke of a flag, wave of a flag. You could actually just get rid of something that I just think is unnecessary. Other motorsport categories don't have blue flags, but it's difficult. We have a tradition and a heritage in Formula One that you don't want to upset too much, and you want to keep. Because there are a fair amount of fans who don't like the sprints at all. But maybe if you have the sprint at the start and then the rest of the weekend's a Grand Prix weekend, that might overcome that a little bit. And try not to tinker too much, because by and large, we've got a really good spectacle.